Okay, I'm just about to finish a taper on a table leg here. There are two traditional methods to make a taper. The first is to take a parting tool and cut your maximum diameter and your minimum diameter, and then just wade into it with a skew or a gouge and try to eyeball your way and make a nice smooth taper if you can. The second way is to draw the taper out on a piece of paper, carefully measure the diameters along the length of the taper where they happen, then say every 3 to 6 inches, take your parting tool and cut right down to that diameter, and then take a gouge and try to cut the tapers from diameter to diameter and then blend them all together in order to make a straight taper. This is called blending. Both work, but neither one produces a perfectly straight taper. I'm going to show you how to make a taper on pieces and parts of the lathe duplicator. Now this takes a while, so I've already done a lot of this taper, but I'll tell you what I did here. I'm just using the table on the lathe duplicator, and I've taken the cutter, and I've removed this part here, the follower. We don't need it for this operation. And I'm just using the base itself with the cutter attached. Now, in this configuration, I can advance the cutter very slightly by turning this knob in back. Okay, first of all, I loosen the Allen screw here, turn this, and the cutter will go forward just a little bit at a time. And I can remove a slight amount as I go. It's one of the reasons it takes a little longer than I have time to show you. Now, after rounding the table leg, I then took the tailstock, and the tailstock has an eccentric mount in it right here. Switch over here to the close-up camera and show you a little bit more about it. All right, guys. Yeah, a little too loose there. Oh, here we go. I'm on this camera. Yeah. Well, here. You want to switch to the other one? Live TV, folks. There we go. Okay. This eccentric mount has numbers, as you can see, around the circumference at the top. And if you set it right here, also has some ridges there to correspond with those numbers. And I've right now got it set to 0. At this point, the axis of this mounting hole will be in line with the drive center. But if I turn it to here, it's 1/16 of an inch off. 1/8, 3/16, 1/4, 5/16, 3/8, and so on. Now, I want that leg to taper from 1.5 inches down to 3/4 of an inch. So, in other words, I want to move the leg or the one center 3/8 of an inch. So I would go from 0 and move it towards me 3/8 of an inch, and then tighten down these screws here. Now, you've got to be careful when you do this. These Allen screws are hard, and the metal in this eccentric mount is pretty soft. So you just want to just snug them up, and then maybe just tweak them a little. You don't want to really, really bear down in there, or you'll bite into the metal. Now, what I've done here is I've backed off until, remember, this is rounded to a consistent diameter, and I back this cutter off until the cutter is actually is actually just touching that diameter. Then I go down to the end of the this end of the leg, the small end of the leg. Loosen the cutter, turn the knob in just a little bit, and cut a little bit of the taper. Okay, I've got to get this piece obviously wasn't on here until when I started. There we go. Now I can get down and cut all the way to the bottom of the leg. All right. Then I go back past where I started, loosen the Allen screw again, turn this a little bit. I'm turning it about an eighth of an inch at a time, or an eighth of a turn at a time, not very much, and then make another little pass, and repeat and repeat, each time going a little farther, cutting a little bit more of the taper, and so on until I get to the very end. Now I'm ready to do the last part of the taper here, and you're going to see in a minute what this piece is for. But let me make the last pass. Before the finish, well, actually the second to the last pass. Okay. Turn it in just a little bit. Tighten it. Now, this is a long leg, and it's pretty thin, and it will bounce on me. So I would ordinarily use a steady rest, but one isn't available for the lathe duplicator. So I'm going to make do with this piece of wood. You'll see how in a minute. Like I say, you have to go pretty slow here. You can tell if you're going too fast because of the lathe. Yeah, see that? Hear that vibration? That means I'm going too fast. The lathe duplicator is not necessarily a fast tool, it's just an accurate tool. By the way, if you're wondering how to set the cutting tool, the cutting tool on the lathe duplicator is a scraping tool, and I've got this set just, maybe a 64th of an inch below the axis of rotation. Okay, we're getting to the end. And there we go. Nice smooth taper. Barely needs any sanding. I've seen some stuff on the forum about what a rough surface this leaves. If it is leaving a rough surface, you're doing one of two things. Either the carbide cutter in here is not set properly, or you're going too fast. It will make an extremely smooth cut if you're going at the proper speed. Now, we've cut from here all the way down to the tip of the leg. We have a little bit to cut up here yet. Now, in order to do that, since this won't quite reach where it is, let's go back and let me get this clamp. I'm going to clamp this I've got this straight edge. I've got this straight edge even with the front of the cutter. It's right there towards the front. Let's come up close if we could, and let me get the square. Now I'm going to make sure that this straight edge is square with the side of the table. All right? That means that I now, if I want to, can use the straight edge to guide the cutter instead of the way tubes. So I'll back off here, and I'm going to undo the clamps. And make my very last cut. That's one part, guys. You can't blow away the sawdust with a face mask. That's it. Wasn't much to cut, but that it's now a perfect taper from 1.5 inches down to 3/4 inches. This is just one way to do it. I'm going to show you a second way using the other parts of the lathe duplicator. It'll take me a minute to get set up, so let me first take the straight edge off. And put the template holder on. You want to tighten these down pretty tight on the way tubes. These things don't Katie is starting to whine. If that's what you're hearing here. The customer service people are nearby, and they've got Katie spoiled. Half the time when you're talking to the customer service people, they're petting Katie. Okay. Hang on, guys. I dropped my windscreen. There. Now, I'm gonna Katie. If we can come in close here, I want to show you a little piece that Drew made on the that I've attached to the lathe duplicator. This here we go. He's got. This is what I'm referring to right here. It's just a little L-shaped bracket, okay? And I'm gonna actually, I'll tell you what. Drew. I'm gonna turn this a little bit more so that they can see it better. Oh, there you go. This L-shaped bracket will hold a template. You can cut out a template on the on a jigsaw, and put it on there. There's one bracket on this end and another bracket on that end. If turn around and then you can oh, there you go. You can see how the piece of wood fits right in there on the bracket, and you just simply clamp it down where you need to. Now I'll show you how we're going to position this taper. Get this back to where it was. Now, I'm going to take the cutter with the follower. The follower, I'm going to put that at my maximum diameter and move this straight edge out until it touches. Okay, I may have to do this several times. Now, I want that straight edge to cut in from 1.5 to 1.5 inches in diameter to 3/8 of an inch diameter. Once again, I want it to move 3/8 of an inch. So let me bring this piece all the way to this side. Nope, well, that's not quite positioned correctly, but you'll get the idea. Now, at this point, the follower needs to be well, here we've got a problem because I've already cut away the diameter and made it bigger than it was. But this is about straight right now. So I would measure this at 2 places on the diameter. That would make my straight edge straight. Okay. Then I would move this side that would be, and this side should be adjusted until it's right over. I should loosen this and move it over a little bit, and make it right over the bottom. At that point, I move this in 3/8 of an inch back. I can do that just like that. There we go, and clamp this down. Now the straight edge is slightly angled. Whoop. I want to clamp it on that side or it'll interfere. It's slightly angled. And at this point, I can use it just as I would the. Now this needs to be brought out just a hair more, because that went in too far. There we go. I can use it just as I would an ordinarily if it were tracing a template or a turning, and can use that to cut my taper. I'm going to switch. Hang on, guys. Safety glasses are great, but when you're doing lathe turning, it just throws the chips everywhere. Of course, you would have been biting much deeper than that. And the first couple bites, we didn't hardly have to do anything because this was already cut away. Now, one last thing that I want to tell you is that when you're finishing up with this, if you want as smooth a cut as you possibly can, crank the speed up and make the last pass very slowly at high speed. Once again, pause if you're getting any sort of chattering, but you should get a very, very smooth cut at that point. I'm going to crank up to about K. I could keep on going, but you get the point. There it is. Two different ways you can do a taper on the lathe duplicator. Now, if you want, I'll take a few questions.